This week, John Lewis became the first major retailer to ditch boys' and girls' clothing. In an act of self-harming, politically correct madness, it has made its own brand of clothes for children up to 14, gender neutral. Sorry, but when did it become wrong to go shopping for gender-specific clothing, i.e. boys' and girls' clothes? When can we no longer say the words boy or girl without having to qualify it? And why has John Lewis offended, and it has, so many of its loyal customers, to pander to the views of a tiny minority? Because in doing so, they've made many of their customers feel that shopping for boys' and girls' clothes is old-fashioned, unacceptable and wrong. They, like lots of other companies, are terrified of offending the small but vociferous army of PC terrorists, which has decreed that parents who embrace their diverse children are modern and accepting, while those who dare to question gender neutrality are bigoted and stupid. I don't want to live on a gender-neutral planet. I don't want to live in a world where calling boys boys and girls girls is seen as offensive. More importantly, it's not John Lewis's job to be pushing out messages on gender politics. And I'm angry that this much-loved and trusted retailer has neutralised kids' clothing for fear of offending the PC despots. Millions of mums will never forgive them. Here we go.
Carole, I thought we were back in term time, but it feels like it's still silly season, because this is really silly.
Why is it really silly?
This is really silly. Can I just show you a couple of images? So these are the clothes that we're talking about here, right? Look at this little cutie. So this is some gender-neutral clothing, and look at, this is a dress with dinosaurs on it. What do you find so offensive about a little girl?
I don't find offensive.
And this is the label saying for boys and girls.
I don't find the clothes offensive at all. I find the message offensive.
So what is the message?
I'm sick of hearing how kids' lives can be damaged and ruined by the clothes they wear, by the colours of the clothes they wear, by the toys they play with. And I think this is part of, a writer yesterday called this bowing to the beige army. And I know exactly what he meant. He was saying that now, throughout society, we're neutralising anything that might be potentially offensive. And we're getting rid of it before the PC army comes down on it. And to me, what John Lewis have done here is silly. This is not their core customer that this is about. This is about pandering to a very small group of people. And there was an online what do you call it? Yeah, that's it. Yes,
it's my only contribution, by the way.
Online poll, which asked people if they agreed with this. It had asked people if they agreed with retailers going gender neutral, and only 3,600 people bothered to say that
I'll let everyone else come in.
It was the good thing.
To your lengthy response, but I think it's ironic because you said nobody wants clothes to dictate gender. The only person suggesting clothes have that power is you.
No.
You're suggesting that allowing girls to wear dresses with dinosaurs on it is somehow erasing their right to be girls.
I'm not saying
the people you're referring to, the customers who are so outraged. I mean, you said why has John Lewis offended so many of his customers? I think it's because so many people don't understand this. They think that John Lewis is saying there is no such thing as gender. They're not. They're just saying if you're a girl, you don't have to wear pink all the time.
A statement about a very important issue at the moment.
You don't, and this isn't, by the way, there is a serious side to this. I said it was silly because I think it is, but there is a serious side, which is that we live in a world where Gap will bring out clothes for boys that say Little Scholar and for girls that say Social Butterfly, or where Clarks will have shoes for boys that say Leader and for girls that say Dolly Babe.
You think that wrecks their lives?
How can you be content
do you really think,
to sit here as a woman who is in charge of your life and say to little girls, just let me finish, that say to little girls, it's okay for you to be programmed with the idea that as a girl you're a social butterfly and as a boy you're a leader.
I grew up in the 70s, and what's happened, I think, is we're losing sight of something, the context of this, which is cheap fashion. In the old days, when I grew up, my mum took me to Debenhams once a year, and she bought me a skirt and a pair of... Actually, I wore Boris's old cords, and I couldn't get into a huge. But what we've seen is... Don't even ask, they were bell-bottoms. But it's about what's happened to the fashion industry as well. We've got supermarket clothes. We've got cheap and disposable fashion. And therefore, this seeped down into the children's ranges. And when my children were small, I mean, you are right. You know, the girls' clothes were pink and frilly, and the boys' clothes said sort of, Basher, and the girls' clothes said Little Pink Princess. And that is wrong, because it does... And so orientate girls into being these frilly princesses, Disney-fied, pinkification, boys into their sturdy, manly leader. they're right to do it. They actually did it last year. They're not saying we don't have girls' clothes, we don't have boys' clothes. They're just saying, let's make it a bit more unisex so girls don't have to feel they have to be all pink and pretty. I'm all in favour.
Carole, every week you get angry about something.
Well, it's a debate show.
Yeah, I know, but you can't be angry about this. I mean, this will either work or it won't work.
Well, I'm angry with John Lewis, yeah.
Yes, it's a straightforward market thing. They'll either sell some or they won't. If they won't, they'll disappear. If they sell some, then it's a market. It's as simple as that.
I think it's good politics as well. It's good retail, I hope.
If you look online, it's not good politics because their core customers have reacted very badly to this. And I don't think that their core customers for 1 second see girls and boys' labels as repressive.
This is in tune with the Times, Carole. I'm sorry you don't like it, but it's correct.
But it's suggesting that we have millions of transgender kids out there, and we don't.
No, but actually, at this point,
important.
Carole. I mean, sorry, Afua. If it's one thing,
well, that's a heck of a mistake.
I think I do agree with Carole on one thing, which is you shouldn't change a sort of overall universal policy in order to pander.
Yes.
And according to the Mirror and other papers today, a school in the south of England has banned girls from wearing skirts because they say they do not want, according to the reports, do not want to offend the very tiny minority of transgender pupils. I think that is daft. I think we could be debating that.
Slippery slope.
I disagree. It's not like saying, listen, they should be... I am all in favour of freedom of choice. I think if the girls want to wear skirts, the boys want to wear skirts,
but the girls should be allowed to choose.
Yes, they should. I don't think you should ban anything.
This is about choice.
No, well, is it? You see, Carole, I agree with you. When you say, I don't want to live on a planet where there's sand,
I don't want to live on a gender.
I mean, that is wrong.
We're all gender fluid.
If that's the reason you want to give up on life.
Are you gender fluid?
No, I'm not.
No.
But where I do agree with you is, you know, there are a generation of grandparents and parents who go to John Lewis, is a very good example, and they want to be able to go and buy their granddaughter their school blouses. And I don't know why it's a crime that you go to a member of the sales staff, excuse me, where can I get my son some school shirts? Over there by the men's toilet. Oh, God, not the men's toilet. Over there by the same sex, near the non-gender baby changing rooms. And that is what we're moving to.
I think they'll survive, though, don't you, Nick? I mean, there are bigger threats to planetary safety, as we'll be discussing when your topic comes up.
I do think this rests on a fundamental misunderstanding of what's going on here, Carole. I think you are giving John Lewis this superhuman power of turning kids transgender through their clothes marketing.
I thought you were putting words into my mouth.
You said people don't want their kids to be transgender.
What I did was I looked at the website and I looked at what John Lewis customers were saying, and the way incandescent was raged. That's what I'm saying.
Why is it a crime to go shopping for boys' clothes?
It's not. That's why they still have dresses, which I expect
but why
many
can't I have an
people
area that says
buy for
boys? Why can't I have an area that says boys?
Because what they're doing is trying to counter something which I find remarkable still exists, which is that you go into clothes shops and there's all this very hyper-masculine boys, dinosaurs, toys, soldiers,
never defended
and then
that.
there's princesses.
Carole's not defended that at all.
You come up with an idea to counter that then. At least John Lewis is
saying what
trying.
they're doing is they're reacting against the PC brigade, which they think is going to come down on them like a ton of bricks.
Carole, you're the person who brought in the word transgender, and it's nothing to do with transgender.
Exactly.
Isn't it?
It's to do with saying, look, at a very young age, in all our lives, boys and girls were separated, basically. I mean, you go there, and what they're saying is, well, is that necessarily the best way of bringing up children? No, but it's not about transgender.
But it is about
you're reading the rather extreme people on Twitter
by the way, I think it's
and the
important
rest
to say
of it.
there's nothing wrong with being transgender as far as I'm concerned, but this is not what it's about.
No.
It's about saying, as a girl, you don't have to define yourself through Victorian ideas about frills and princesses.
Drop the dross. Just drop all the dross with little girls with princess and boys with winner or stunner or whatever. Just drop all that rubbish clothing. No. Just drop all that rubbish clothing. Just put nice, decent lines out with girls can wear engineer bloody pyjamas if they want, and boys can wear princess, and then shove it in there. But call it girls and bloody boys, because that's what we are.
Gender-neutral clothing.
John Lewis, it's not their job to influence or to engineer public opinion. That's not their job. It's to sell nice clothes.
That will be, as a good marketeer, that will be sorted out by the market. They'll either sell it or they won't. If they won't, it'll disappear.
Do you know what, Carole? You're never knowingly undertold.